Hi, welcome back. On this video, we're going to reinstall the tank, the gauge cluster, and the seat. I removed it in a previous episode, so if you're not sure how to remove it, go check that out. I'll put the episode reference down in the description. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button. Check me out on Instagram at Clargo Garage. Let's get started. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is install the tank. So when we slip the tank on, there's these two pucks right here that the tank pockets will fit on. So it's just these rubber guys here and here. And then your cluster wiring, it's going to come down below and then it will come back up to your tank to plug in right about there. So you just want them hanging down for now so they're out of the way. This line here is the line for your vent for your tank. And then back on the left hand side of the bike, this line here goes to your tank. That's for your fuel. And then the green connector right up here is for your sending unit to tell you what your fuel level is. Alright, so right up here, that's where your vent line goes on. And then right here, that's where your fuel line's going to attach. And then this green wire right here, that's for your sending unit. And then these wires, I have some LED lights on there. And that's what those are for. And then you can kind of see those horseshoe-shaped or U-shaped pockets there. That's where those rubber pucks will slip into to hold the front of the tank on. We also need to remove the bolt that holds the back of the tank. It's a long 10mm head bolt right here. And it comes all the way through to the other side. So all that actually holds the tank on the bike are those pockets on those rubber and this long bolt here. And there's a washer on each side. So it's that guy there. The bolt, it goes through from the right side towards the left and then just threads on like so. And there's two washers, so be conscious of that when you're taking it on and off. And now we're ready to slip the tank on. I always put the tank on from the left side of the bike. You usually have the bike on the ground when I'm taking it off. So it's just easier, that's where the bike leans. So you're just going to slip it in. You be mindful of those pockets. Make sure your lines that you want up, like your vent lines, stay up above, they don't get pushed down. And it should slip on fairly easily. There should be no pinched wires or anything like that. I'm going to plug in the green connector now before I bolt down the back side of the tank. So this way I can kind of prop it up a little bit and kind of tuck things nice, everything's out of the way. And I just find it easier with the tank not bolted on the back side to do that. Perfect. And now we can put our bolt all the way through, and then we know that tank can't go anywhere. And it's just 10 millimeter on both ends to cinch it tight. And now it's just a 10 millimeter on each side to cinch everything tight. Perfect. Now the back's good. The front's nice and tight too, so it's in the pockets. And now we're going to slip the vent line on. So that's just right here. So we can just slip that on. Should go pretty easy. And then there's that little steel keeper. And then I usually just spin it so the wing's pointing down, just like so. And now we're going to come down to the fuel line right here. And we can see on the fuel line there's a connector there to squeeze it tight. So once we get the line on, we will close that up. And there's also 2 rubbers for the line to sit in to hold it in place. So we should be able to just kind of jiggle it on like so. And then we'll grab our pliers to put that clamp on like this. And there we go. That's done, and then we can just push that in like that. And now we're going to grab our cluster. I kept mine in the saddle bag. You know, ripped apart for a few months. There's the cluster. That's what it looks like on the back side. And these are our 2 plugs that we have to reconnect. So they operate the fuel gauge, all your indicator lights, your speedometer, odometer, all that kind of stuff. And there should be a rubber on it here to try to keep water from getting underneath. So you're going to take your key out if your key was in. And then I always keep the hardware where it came from if I'm doing anything for a long period of time so I don't lose it. Which in this case I did, because I redid the forks and everything. So we're going to take those out. And now we're going to slip the cluster on in place. But we're not going to screw anything down quite yet. We're just going to kind of get it located. And I find the easiest way is by lining up where the key goes in and lining up the where the rear support screws in, the rear mounting screw. And now we go to the other side of the bike, and we can kind of see the connector right here. And we can see the bottom of the other connector. So we're going to push those up and in to plug them up, to plug them in, and then we will go along and start securing all the go along and secure the cluster down. I'm also going to put some dielectric grease on those connections. So I just kind of smear it right over all the terminals. So when I plug it in, it gets straight in where I want it. So you don't have to be too clean with it. You can just kind of smear it and then plug your connectors in. Then there's one connector. And then there's the second connector. And if those connections ever fail, your bike will still start and drive. You'll just lose functions of your cluster, but the bike itself will run without that connected. Alright, and now we're able to start putting our mounting screws back in. And I usually slip the key in right away so I don't forget it. And it's not a bad idea to turn it on and make sure that everything functions. All the lights work. This is what it should look like. Because if you get it all screwed down and the things aren't working, you might have to lift it back off to check your connections. So I usually just double check it before I screw it down. But this is what it should look like. On your gauges bounce, you can double check your lights. And just verify that everything actually works. On your front bolts that hold down your gauge cluster, there's two pieces that come out on the side of the tank, and they're kind of mounted on rubber bushings, so they kind of move a little bit, and that's okay. That's normal. That's so that your back bolt and your key kind of judge where things have to be. So you have no real movement there. So they have those, so there's a little bit of flex, so you can adjust them a little bit on the fly without having to go in with any tools or anything. You just kind of push them up or pull them down with your finger to make your holes line up, so you can thread your bolts in. And I'm putting just a little dab of Never Seas on the hardware. Alright, once I have them all in, I make sure everything looks good, that the gasket is sitting nice and flat. And I'm not sure if anybody else has the same issue I have. Whenever I wash the bike, it doesn't seem to matter what I do or try, I always get a little bit of water that somehow gets underneath and runs down and leaves a water spot. And same thing with the tail light. I'm not sure if I'm the only one or that, but that happens to me every time I wash it. And now we're just going to tighten these up just snug. You don't want to overdo it and crack the plastic, so you don't need to reef on them by any means. Alright, I'm going to plug my underglow lights in real fast, one right here. And then we'll test them out. I have a switch just hidden underneath the tank, so you can see they're working. And then the last step is the seat. So when you slip the seat on the back, there's a groove there, and the actual locking mechanism is on the front that works off your key. So you're just going to slip it in to that part there, the part in the back of the seat. It just slips underneath here, and then at the front it goes into this latch here, which holds it in place, and then you release it with the key. And that's it. Fully on. Now it's all together. I'm gonna fire the bike up now. I haven't had it running in a while. So we turn the key on. We want to make sure that our fuel is on as well. And then we just roll it over. It's nice to hear it run. I'm going to set the clock right now to, because the clock hasn't been set because the battery was disconnected and the gauges were disconnected. So all you do, you make sure the key is on. So keys on. You have your trip A, your trip B. So you just hold down both buttons and then the clock will flash. You hit the left button to select if you want hours or minutes. We want hour, we want to go to, it's about 4 o'clock. And then you hit the left button again, and now your minutes are flashing. And then we can select what time it is. It's about 4:40. So you just go through. And then you hit both, it flashes. Or you hit your left button, both sides flash, and then you hit the right button again to lock it in. And now your clock is set. And then same thing with for your trips. You just hold the right button and it will reset your trip. There we go. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button, and also go check me out on Instagram at Clargo Garage. Have a nice day.